get started because we've got lots to go through today. My name's Nikki. I'm on Team Operto, and I'm really just going to be your intro and outro, handing things over to Brooke and Steve today. So today we're going to be talking about elevating the guest experience in owner acquisition. And in our minds, between Vintory and Operto, it's the perfect combo for business success. A couple of housekeeping items. This is being recorded. We will share the recording at the end of the session. You'll be able to forward that along to any team members you think would find it useful. And we do have the chat as well as the Q&A enabled. So feel free to pop in, say hello, and ask any questions along the way. We will have time at the end for Q&A. One other little piece, if you know Brooke, if you know Steve, there's always something they're going to do to keep things spicy. So we're doing a bit of a competition today. What's going to happen is I'm going to be keeping score and tally of a buzzword for each of them. So anytime Brooke says the word inventory, that'll be a tick. Anytime Steve says guest experience, that'll be a tick. At the end, we're going to tally those up, the person with the most. I believe we have some bourbon on the line. We'll take a look. There you go.
Bourbon is Steve's terrible idea.
Yeah, there's a time difference here, Brooke, by the way, but Steve's in.
Brooke, I just hope your HR person is not logged in right now.
I'm the HR person, so
mine's in Japan. I know that she's not logged in, so we're good. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, without further ado, I mean, for anyone who's new, Brooke, Steve, would love for you to introduce yourselves, and then we'll dive right into it. Thanks, everybody, for joining. Brooke, over to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Nikki. Steve, excited to do this. And if anybody saw our last webinar we did together, we were doing shots of hot sauce throughout the presentation. So we had to do something a little bit different this time and go straight to bourbon. And I think Steve's got a nice bottle of spiced rum. So well, yeah, excited to be here. It's always fun hanging out with Steve. So yeah, my name is Brooke Fouts. I'm founder and CEO of a couple companies. One is called Vintory, and the other one's Comparent. Vintory, we're a sales and marketing platform where we do one thing and one thing only. We help professional vacation rental managers grow their inventory. So we don't touch anything on the guest side. We don't touch anything on the operations side. We let pros like Steve and his team handle that. But yeah, we built a platform it's the largest database of vacation rental homeowners on the planet to allow you to target them. And then we have really cool marketing campaigns that we can, send out to them and help you add more properties. And then Comparent is the largest marketplace in the world of professional vacation rental managers. We've got about 6,000 companies listed on there, and it allows professional property managers to highlight their services and show off why they're the best property manager. And it's completely for free. So go to comparent.com and claim your listing, and we'll help you get more homeowners. But really excited again to be here, and thanks to Nikki and Steve for putting us on. So Steve, I'll let you give your little intro now.
Yeah, you bet, Brooke. As we were saying, it's super fun to jump on with Vintory, and it's super exciting to see what's happening with Comparent. I think I was there when you sort of birthed the idea a few years ago, and it's cool to kind of see it kind of take wings and fly. So that's congrats to you and your team on that. My name is Steve Davis. I'm the CEO of Operto. I am so worried about saying the word guest experience today. That doesn't count, Nikki, but we're sort of an end-to-end platform that manages your guest journey from the moment that the booking hits the PMS all the way through to the time that the guest leaves, and you get sort of housekeeping, maintenance, and sort of the back end services component of the stay. So that's sort of looking at sort of pre-stay, in-stay, and post-stay, and all the kind of tools and services you need to ensure that you have a really positive guest experience, and that at the end of the day, happy guests leave 5-star reviews, get repeat bookings, direct bookings, et cetera, and all the sort of downstream effects of just having great technology to enable good stays. So that's what we do, and it's very complementary, to Vintory as well. So looking forward to the session today.
All right, well, let's kick it off. So here's our agenda. I'm going to go over kind of the 7-step playbook. Then I'm going to throw it over to Steve. He's going to talk about revenue enhancement strategies. And then upsell strategy to delight your owners. And then we're going to do, I think we're going to do Nikki's little tally, do some shots here, and then we'll end it out with some Q&A. So with that said, let's kick it off. So here is the 7-step playbook to inventory growth. So I'll just kind of highlight the 7 steps real quick, and then we'll dig into each one of these pretty quickly. So number 1, you got to be remarkable. You got to be differentiate. Number two, the 7 key messaging building blocks that every vacation rental management company needs to do. Number three, know your data, know your metrics, understand that those core metrics are so critically important. Then we're going to do a deep dive on data and ICP, ideal customer profile. Then we're going to talk about kind of reverse engineering a growth plan, and then talking about like an omni-channel marketing plan on how you can actually get new homeowners. And then we're going to round it out with being responsive. So with that said, let's just dive in. So number one, be remarkable. Like, what are your company's differentiators? You have to be different. You have to be unique. If you're doing it like everybody else, it just becomes, you become a commodity. And what ends up happening is it becomes a race to the bottom, and it's all about your commission. So when I launched, a little bit of background about me, I started a company called Vantage Resort Realty in Ocean City, Maryland, grew that company from 0 to 500 properties in 5 years. I was parked right next to a company called Caldwell Banker that had 4,000 properties under management. And I knew if I did it just like them, that I would never win. And all it would come down to would be commission. So I did really unique things. I did things that were different. I offered what was called a Sunny Days Guaranteed, where I actually bought a small insurance policy on every single reservation, where if it rained 4 more days out of their week's vacation, I actually gave them a full refund of their of what they paid for. And again, that was just funded by a small, very tiny little insurance policy. And then I noticed that, the local Hilton was getting 2x the nightly rates of what similar vacation rentals were getting. And so I started adding what were all the amenities that they had. So I noticed they had a gym in their building. So what did I do? I partnered with Gold's Gym and gave free gym membership. I noticed they got USA Today's, every morning. So I hired this college kid to drive around his bike and deliver, USA Today's to everyone's doorstep. So again, the whole point here is you have to differentiate. If you do not build a remarkable brand, don't do something different, again, you become a commodity, and it's a race to the bottom. It's all about commission, and we don't want to differentiate on commission. And then again, what is the same kind of point of that? What makes your brand incredible? Set it up, be different, be unique. If you're like, it's so amazing when we talk to many of these property managers and we build out their messaging, they have what everybody else does, and you got to have a differentiator. You got to be you build this incredible brand. The companies that I see are most successful, they build really, really impressive brands. All right, speaking of what I just kind of alluded to before, number two, the 7 key messaging building blocks that need to be part of every single marketing piece you do. Now, this doesn't matter if it's a postcard. This doesn't matter if it's your landing page. This doesn't matter if it's your owner presentation. These 7 key messaging building blocks you see right here need to be in all the marketing that you do. And I'll go through these real quickly, and we'll do a deep dive on a couple of them. So features and benefits, unique selling proposition or USP, your trust icons. These are, things like, if you're an Airbnb superhost, if you're on the A+ rating on Better Business Bureau, and so on. Social proof, compelling offers, risk reversals, and calls to action or CTA. Every marketing piece you have has to have some kind of call to action. Go back to that like reptilian part of their brain so they don't even need to think about it, where they just automatically know exactly what they're supposed to do. You'd be surprised how many landing pages don't lead the people to what you want them to do. So make sure you're following through those. So a couple deep dives on a couple of those key points. First off is compelling offers. This is also known as like a mafia offer. Make them an offer they can't refuse. So what are some good examples of some compelling offers? You can offer like free digital locks, maybe free photography, free design consultants. I've even seen some people do signing bonuses, but have some kind, or a free hot tub. Do something that, my acid test for a compelling offer. Envision your target is standing over their recycling bin and they're going through their direct mail and they come across your postcard. What stops them in their tracks from dropping that postcard in the recycling bin or the trash can and set it aside so they can potentially call you later? The other one we're going to highlight here is risk reversals. So risk reversals reduce friction in the buying process, make it so easy for them to say yes. Some examples, we guarantee to beat your current revenue, or maybe there's no long-term contracts or no startup fees. Like, make it really easy for them to sign up. Evolve actually has a really great risk reversal. It's something to the effect of, if you can cancel and they will give you 100% refund of all your management fees. Like, how do you say no to that? Now, when you read the fine print, it's only between month 6 and 7. You're probably sitting on a bunch of reservations and things like that. But again, it's a great risk reversal. So all your marketing pieces needs to have some kind of risk reversal to kind of reduce that friction and allow them to sign up. And the last one we'll highlight here is social proof. Social proof is a psychological phenomenon that people trust what other people have to say about you. They feel like they don't necessarily need to do their due diligence because somebody else has already done it. And it can be a complete stranger and it still works. You'd be surprised how important social proof is there. So some examples of social proof, obviously homeowner testimonials, reviews on either guest or owner side. And shameless plug for Comparent. Comparent is the largest website out there for gathering homeowner reviews for your property. So that's a great way to do it. But here's a little hack. If you do any kind of micro targeting, so micro targeting would be you're going to target very specific communities and buildings. You want to make sure that your social proof, those testimonials, are from people that actually live in those buildings, live in those communities. It's going to make that go a little bit further. It's going to increase your conversion rates.
Oh.
So if you email me, brooke@vintory.com, I actually have this really cool worksheet. It's a key messaging blocks worksheet. We give lots of different examples, and you can build this out. What's great about this, once you build this out, this is the baseline for all your marketing you're going to do to any kind of homeowner. It's a really great way to kind of build it out. So again, email me, brooke@vintory.com. Happy to send it to you. All right, number 3, they understand your key metrics. So, one question I get all the time is like, Brooke, what's a new property worth? And you'd be surprised, even people have been in this business 20, 30 years, they have never gone through and actually done the math of what a new property is worth. Now, I know this is a lot of information right here, so I'll go through it. I'll hopefully make it pretty simple. So let's say you have a property that's doing about $50,000 in top line gross booking revenue. Now, it doesn't matter if you're charging 20% or 13 to 16% like I was, or you're charging 50% like some property managers out in the ski markets charge. Net, after asking this question probably close to 500 times, what falls to the bottom line in net profit or EBITDA? It's usually about 10% of the gross booking revenue before taxes and fees. So if you sign up a property doing 50,000 in gross booking revenue, which is the industry average last year, you were going to net on average, if you're the average property manager, you're going to average about $5,000 in profits or EBITDA, which comes out about 10%. Now that's per year. Now, you don't keep a property in your rental program for 1 year. You're going to keep a property in your rental program for multiple years. I mean, I started my company Vantage 17 years ago, and it's been sold twice. There are literally still properties that I signed up 17 years ago that are still in that rental program that has stayed in there. But you got that anomaly, but then you get some that churn after the first year. So you just don't know. So how do you calculate the lifetime in years? Well, it's a simple formula. You take 1 divided by your churn rate. Brooke, what the heck is churn? Churn is what percentage of your inventory do you lose in a given year? And I like to average it over maybe 2 to 3 years. The industry average has held pretty steady around 10%. We got a little bit of spike during COVID. A lot of people were selling because they were getting some crazy, insane offers. I heard last year, key data came out with our 2024, the average is about 13%. So it's a little bit higher. It's ticked up a little bit this last year. But if you take that 1 divided by 10%, which is really the kind of the average over the last decade or so, you're going to get a 10-year lifetime. So you're making 5,000 in profits in year 1. You're going to multiply that times 10. So you can see we have a $50,000 lifetime. So you'll notice there's a little hack here. The lifetime, the value of a property is equal to the gross booking revenue, assuming you fall within industry averages with churn and then your profit margins. So if you sign up, Steve goes out there and signs up a property doing $75,000, it has a $75,000 lifetime value. If let's say somebody else goes out there, signs up a property tomorrow worth $100,000 in life or GVR, you can take it to the bank. It's going to be worth about $100,000 in profits over the life of that property. That's amazing. Now, I actually argue those numbers are a little bit light. Why? What happens over a 10-year period? Is the revenue going to be flat? No, it's going to go up. So, but still, it gives you a good rule of thumb. I think if people understood this, they would look at each lead coming in a little bit differently. All right, up next, data and knowing the ideal customer profile. So do you know your ICP, your ideal customer profile, and do you have a complete data set? So ideal customer data record. So one of the things we do here that's unique with Vintory is we have the largest database of vacation rental homeowners on the planet. But most places, they're just getting data from like one source. But what we do, it's a little bit unique, is we get data from multiple sources. So we're going to get it from like the tax records, from the MLS. We're going to go out there and get vacation rental permit data. We're going to get list broker data. We're going to scrape Airbnb and Vrbo and Booking.com, and we're going to get some other data sources as well. But what you'll notice here is each data field is going to be a little bit different. And what we found is, like, let's say the tax records might have really good information on number of bedrooms. And maybe the scrape data has really good information on, amenities and things like that. And permit data has really good email addresses. And then, some of our pending sources have better data for, phone numbers and things like that. But what we're able to do, as opposed to getting one row of data, what we're doing is we're stacking it. And the commonality here is the actual property address. And what this allows us to do is serve up the best data possible. and we can actually weight it based on what we know gives us more accurate information. So nobody out there is doing this. We're the only ones doing it, but it's just a great way to get really, really accurate data, which is obviously critically important because 50% of all your marketing really just comes down to your list. If you got a crappy list, and you're spending, a buck and a half on a direct mail piece, you're just burning money. So what you'd rather do is have a really good, ideal, data file, and then make sure you're marketing to that to make sure you're saving your money and make sure you're targeting really effectively. So this just kind of shows how we pull that together. All right, so I love this right here. So it's kind of it's the reverse engineer your plan. So very often people have no plan, they have no goals. And even if they have goals, they don't have an actual realistic way of kind of getting there. So really the step one is, what is your 5-year target? Where do you want to be in 5 years? Where do you want to be? And then break that down on a 12-month basis. And then how are you kind of tracking that along the way? So one thing we'll do, we like to reverse engineer these kind of things. So let's just keep it real simple. Let's say you want 5 new properties. Now, again, if you're churning, you got to take that into account, but this would be 5 net new or gross new properties. So in our little example here, you can see, all right, if we send out, 6,250 direct mail pieces, we know the average response rate called 0.8%. So yes, that's low, but guess what? It still pencils out. And let's say you got to go one step further. What is, you have the response rate, but then what is the conversion from that response rate to a meeting rate? And then what is your closing rate? And you can see here, if we send out, 520 pieces a month or 6,250 over 12 months, assuming these ratios right here, which are pretty accurate, you'll net about 4 new deals. And again, we know from before, how valuable these properties are in your rental program. You'll know that's a pretty decent ROI when you actually do the math. Most people have not done the math on how valuable the properties are, so it makes it pretty challenging. And then we can do the same thing on email. This says, I apologize, this says direct mail, but this is actually on an email channel marketing. But you'll notice we send out 415 emails, and you get a 2% response rate and 25% meeting rate, 20% close rate. You just added another. So here we got 5 new properties. We backed right into it. But again, you want to then make sure you're doing some tracking and milestone tracking. Just make sure you're on pace to hit that goal. All right, number 6, omni-channel marketing plan. So what you want to do is, very often what we'll do is we'll see many of our partners, they don't have a strategic plan on going after new inventory. They're just kind of go at it haphazardly. They lob out 1 postcard, or 2 postcards a year without a real plan. But what you want to do is you've got that ideal target, your ICP that you've identified, you've got the data, and then you want to hit that person in an omni-channel marketing method. So direct mail, we talked about it earlier, it does work. The math pencils out. There's a reason why, Vacasa, I think, sent like 6.7 million postcards or something like that last year. Because it's their CAC, their customer acquisition cost, is about 1/3 of what it was on the M&A basis. So direct mail does work, but you have to be consistent. Don't even think about doing it unless you're, committing to doing a whole year of marketing. I'd much rather send out 6 postcards over the course of a year, versus 6,000 postcards all at one time. That kind of that drip really pays off. That consistency pays off. Cold email definitely pays off as well. It's probably one of the highest ROIs out there. But you don't want to do cold email where you're using your existing email service. You're not doing it from your existing email. You want to use a service like Mailshake or Lemlist. They'll ensure your emails are getting delivered. And then also you need to know how to write it. This is not MailChimp or constant contact type of mail. This is, you're doing, it's called direct response copy. So if you don't know how to write a really good, direct response copy, just hire somebody on Upwork and ask them to do it like a 3 email campaign for you. Digital ads do work, but you have to spread a really wide net. So this would be like called PPC, on Google, because the search terms are, it's probably like 1/10 of what it would be for a guest. Very, very few people are actually searching for this, but when they do, it does pay off. But it will net you a couple deals, every 6 months or so, depending on how big your market is. But don't expect it to really fill up your pipeline. It's just more of a supplementary kind of a thing. Retargeting, so make sure you're using Google Tag Manager on anybody that's coming to your landing page, because what we found is 80 to 95% of the people that come to your actual property management page are not filling out that form. So you want to make sure that they are, so you can kind of retarget them. List-based targeting. So the beauty of this would be like through like LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram. So again, through that Google Tag Manager, make sure you're doing that. But also you want to go out there and you want to reach out to them. So if you have a large enough list, you can actually serve up ads directly on their feeds as they're surfing the web. So that's why it's so important when they get the data. You want to get their emails and you want to get their phones, because that's what Facebook is using, and Instagram and things like that. They're using to be able to serve those ads up. But again, you got to have a pretty wide net to be able to do that. And then realtors, everything you do here for marketing to homeowners, I like to do the same exact thing. I like to put them to realtors, because what happens with realtors is they're not only going to send you one deal, they're going to send you multiple deals and residual, especially if you kind of build with it. And then Comparent, we talked about that before. Get listed on Comparent. It's a free source to get new homeowner leads. All right, number 7, be responsible and have the right people. So how responsive is your company, and who is your business development role? So here's the funny thing. Everybody wants all the shiny stuff, right? They want the pretty landing page. They want the pretty postcards. They want the pretty brochures. But when it really comes down to it, very often it's just blocking and tackling. It's just that come down to the fundamentals. And we see this time and time and time again. The companies that aren't responsive are never successful. We actually went out there, we secret shopped 100 property managers and inquired about property management services. They only picked up the phone 34% of the time. I mean, it's 2/3 of the time they never even picked up the phone. And then we actually left messages, which I don't think people even will leave messages anymore. But when we did, they only called us back 57% of the time. But then when we secret shop the most successful companies, the companies that have a crazy growth rate, they had a 100% connectivity rate. They did not waste any leads. Every single lead that came through, they were taking advantage of, and they were going through it. So make sure you're super, super responsive there. And then also, make sure you have the right person, the business development rep. Again, after, surveying, we've signed up over 800 companies on Vintory, and we can see who's successful and who's not successful. And we do these psychometric personality assessments like predictive index. And what we found is the people that have either the business development rep or like the owner or the GM, the person that's actually answering these owner calls, are one of these profiles you see here. They will do 3x the output of the other profiles. So if you're not one of these profiles, and you could call Steve Trover over at Better Talent, and he'll profile you and your team for free. And if you're not if whoever your biz dev person is not one of these profiles, go out, and it could be you too. Look in the mirror, hire somebody that can do this. Hire somebody that's a captain, a persuader, a maverick, a rainmaker, a trailblazer. Again, they will do 3x the output of all the other profiles out there. Trust me, you are leaving money on the table if you're not taking advantage of this. And I'll give a little shameless plug here. Vintory, we actually have a fractional business development team, where what we've done is we built an entire team of business development reps. We call them like the SEAL Team 6 of biz dev reps. And guess what? They're only these profiles that you see right here, and they're killing it for these people. We've had people that haven't closed deals in months. We implement our fractional BD team, and they end up closing, 3 or 6 deals a month for them. It's amazing. All right, with that said, I'm going to throw it over to Steve, who's going to talk about the guest experience. Take it away, Steve.
Oh, thanks, Brooke.
And let me just say inventory one more time, just to give my.
I was just about to say that. I'm not sure how many times you said it, but it was definitely not 0. So,
Hey, Steve, you're at the beginning. You might want to go out and jump to your slide, just so you don't have to go bore everybody through mine again. So
sorry, I could never do them any as much justice as you just did. Again, Brooke, super awesome stuff, and thank you. And I've obviously seen the Vintory and Comparent stuff a few times, and it's always amazing to kind of see the evolution and some of the stuff I know to be really, really valuable to property managers. So so thank you for that. So building on what Brooke was talking about, I think, when you look at property management as sort of a whole, there's just a ton of ways to make it a very lucrative business. Whether it's, adding to your portfolio or figuring out, how do we actually maximize revenues when the guest is actually staying with us, because, we've done all that hard work to get them to stay with you. Now you want to really deliver a great stay, and great stays equal, repeat bookings, word of mouth, 5-star reviews, et cetera, et cetera. So how do you actually elevate the guest experience? I'll say it. That's okay. I'm going to have to say it a few times here. What we want to talk about today is really, how do you put yourself in a place to generate more revenues and deliver that experience that's going to, be something that they talk about, not just that on the day or, a few days later, but they remember that stay. They remembered those special moments that were different, that were unique. There's a huge sort of shift in the market right now, especially as we sort of see this younger generation that's coming through and traveling. It's all about experiential travel. It's all about, TikTok and putting things on Instagram and telling our friends and sharing. And so this sort of when you can provide an experience that is sort of above and beyond or unique, you're going to put yourself in a really good place with your stays. So there's different ways of approaching generating revenue, right? I mean, I don't think that anyone goes on vacation, with their pockets empty, and there's always sort of a budget and places that they want to go and they want to experience and things they want to sort of tick off of a list. And again, what you're trying to figure out here is, how do I actually get a little bit of that wallet share, right? That they've got a budget, but right now, if you're just being seen as the roof over someone's head and not as a place where they can actually start to plan their trip potentially before they arrive, or have things put in front of them that sort of match and make sense to them, you're really leaving a lot of money on the table. And so what we're talking about today is, how do you put yourselves into that conversation so that they don't look at you as a bed and a TV on the wall and a roof over their head, but they actually look at you as almost a little bit more of a travel partner, where they can get those experiences and all those things that are being offered in that local community, and have them put in front of them so that they go, yeah, like, this is really cool. So there's a bunch of things that you can do to just generate very simple revenue, and we call those sort of in-house offerings. So first of all, you'd be looking at things like early check-in, late checkout. I mean, how often do we all go on vacation where you arrive at 9 a.m. and then they tell you, sorry, check-in's not till 4 p.m. and you find yourself trying to like drag your luggage around town, or just trying to kill the clock. A lot of times folks are willing to pay to be able to access the property, especially if it's available, drop their bags, have a shower, and kind of get their vacation going. Same goes on the late checkout side. You might have a late flight or late transportation, and you don't really want to check out at 10 a.m. And this is there's tons of data out there that backs this up, is, if you can offer early check-in and late checkout, and that's really, it depends on how fast you can turn over the property and get your cleaners in. There's a ton of money to be made there. And then obviously, in-stay extension, upsells. So being able to say, hey, we've got an opening for tomorrow night. No one's booked it. Can we offer you 50% off tomorrow night, to make them maybe potentially extend their stay, and to sort of fill in any gaps you might have in your booking calendar. Add to that sort of local partnerships. So every town is unique, offering services fulfilled by sort of local people, local things to do, places to go, etc. These are things that, when done correctly, again, can drive a ton of revenue. Additional, you got your ADRs, and ADRs aren't growing tremendously. So if you can turn that sort of $100, $120 a night stay into sort of $150, $160, that's a huge win for you on the margin side, especially as sort of margins get compressed, and we see people sort of trying to figure out how they can pull more profit out of their vacation rental business. And then affiliate commissions are sort of another very easy one. You've got companies like Viator, BabyQuip, and Bounce that again, you put their experiences in front of your guests, and you can earn a really, really easy commission. Now, things like this can all be enabled through a guest application. At Operto, we have what we call Operto Guest, but there are obviously a number of ways of getting this data in front of your guest. During check-in, they're doing their verification. They might be getting their codes or their digital key to get into the property. These are really exceptional places where you can start to put things in front of the guest, where they, oh yeah, you know what, we were meaning to do that. This is a super simple way of me scratching that itch, and I'm going to go ahead and do that. So what are some of the things you can do when you're looking at sort of this from a strategy perspective? Okay, you really need to understand the guest journey, right? So you need to map out like how guests usually get to your place. Every place is different. Some are sort of urban settings, some are more rural settings, some are sort of more experiential. So there's really going to be a whole different journey for the guest. You really want to make sure that you're sort of naturally aligning yourself with sort of how they're getting to your property, but then like what does that rhythm look like? Pre-arrival upgrades, mid-stay services, maybe they want an extra clean, or they want to bring a pet or whatever. There's a lot of things that naturally people will pay for, that you sort of need to think about. You need to look at the booking data, because there's obviously a lot of seasonality. You know, I was looking, you know, we're here in Vancouver, and we've got a place like up the road here at Whistler, or, you know, it's ski season starts this weekend. You know, the things that you're going to start upselling at a ski resort are going to be totally different in the summer, when you're, you know, all the mountain bikers arrive and you've got a whole different sort of crew of people arriving. So really understand kind of the seasonality and sort of how things shift, and make sure that those sort of natural upsells can kind of morph with sort of high season, low season, and shoulder season as well. And then look at the guest profiles, right? I mean, obviously we try and gather as much data as we can, but understanding sort of the demographics, the behaviors of your guests, as much with the booking detail as you can get from the guest, and then sort of crafting your strategy around that. Because again, you don't want to have a certain typical traveler profile and then be offering them things that are a little bit maybe left field, and not things that they're going to book a lot. The main thing too, and I know a lot of property managers, when they talk to us about upsells and sort of this side of their business, they want really they want to make sure it's easy. They want to make sure that it's not going to be onerous. And so, you know, offer service that you know, they're easy for you to fulfill on, but they offer real convenience to the guest. You know, grocery delivery, airport transfers, you know, local tours, in-room dining. Maybe you're hiring a local chef that, you know, that people wouldn't necessarily know about. These kind of things are, again, really easy, but they also mean that it's not onerous on you as the manager to deliver on those things. So you don't want to be running around and dropping off gift baskets and all those kind of things yourselves. You really want to make sure that you're working with local partners who can just do it better and more efficiently than you, so that you can sleep at night and not have to be doing extra work. Because as we all know, property management is already quite a difficult job, and so adding things on top that are difficult, you want to stay away from that. Promoting through digital channels. Brooke talked about this on the acquisition side of property, but you know, there's a lot of ways that you can talk to your guests before they arrive. It's also a great way of ensuring that you have guests that don't necessarily cancel on you. If you can start to talk to them and start to help them craft their stay. You know, automated messaging is useful, emails is useful, and then naturally putting sort of upsells in front of them that makes sense according to who that guest is. Very, very powerful, and you'll see that there's a real gravitation towards that, because at the end of the day, they're trusting you. They might be coming themselves, or their family, or with friends. They're trusting your property. So then when you put something in front of them where there's a little bit of trust needed as well, you've already built that trust because they've chosen your property. So now when you say, hey, you know what? When you're in town, you really got to do these 3 things. And you know what? If I can make those 3 things come to life for you, you know, why don't you book them here? And they're like, oh my gosh, yeah, the trust is already built. So you really want to make sure you can leverage on top of that trust, which is, you know, an easy thing to do. And then you want to make sure you're bundling smartly, you know, making sure, again, if you're offering that sort of romantic getaway package, or you know, honeymoon package, or whatever it might be, you know, that you're making sure that those are thoughtfully put together and really kind of memorable. Because at the end of the day, if you can offer memorable stays, you know, as I was saying before, it's all about the repeat bookings and them telling their friends and hitting TikTok and telling the world about it, and you'll see that the revenue upside is quite significant. Building your upsell strategy, you want to obviously highlight immediate benefits, you know, skip the lines, get VIP treatment, things that people want to feel like they're special. They want to feel like they're a guest. They're not necessarily just a reservation number sitting in the PMS. They want to make sure that, you know, that you're making them feel like things are a little bit more special when they're staying with you. You know, using dynamic pricing for upsell options is another way of ensuring that people are ticking the box and making sure that they're spending money with you and not walking out the door and spending it, you know, in the same place, just with someone else. Guest-led upselling, you know, equip guests with tools, you know, that allow them to sort of, such as a la carte services in your guest app. Again, you want to make sure that you're working with a guest app that is very, very easy to use and that the guest can naturally navigate through it. What we find is that, you know, we had to actually build ourselves a new guest application when we started to look at upsells, because the way that our original services were put in weren't naturally there for this kind of guest journey. Again, so make sure that the provider you're using for guest application really understands upsells and can make that part of the natural flow. And then the main thing too here is involve your team, right? Make sure that the team that's on property, you know, locally servicing that community, really is bought in, because the team will actually notice a lot more around upsells than you might, or they might get missed in the app. So you want to make sure that they know what are the things that you're offering the guests, and so that they can kind of be that more analog version of offering upsells that are natural on stay. So involve the team, and you can kind of have that digital strategy and that analog strategy, and they kind of work together to make sure that they always know. How do you implement this thing? A lot of this thinking might be kind of new and kind of things that you might not be doing in your business currently. Use tools at your disposals, for showcasing, messaging, taking payments. So you can look at a variety of different ways of taking payment, in-app, pay in person. You can always link out. Again, we can help you with that. Notifications, fulfillment, rev shares, etc. There's a host of different strategies, and if this does sound really interesting to you, I really encourage you to reach out to us, and we can help you to kind of put a strategy together, because it again will help you in a big way push top line and everything that we're looking for as a property manager. Upsells, make sure that there's an upsell for everyone. Okay, there's tried and tested ones, but then get creative, as Brooke was saying. There's when he was trying to find ways of making his properties look unique, the same thing, right? You gotta make sure that you're getting really creative on the upsells, because people are looking for unique stays, and if you can get creative, and you're going to be in a really good place. Create a better experience. Guests love feeling like their stay is personalized, that they're not a reservation number. So again, give a lot of thought to that, and then promote rebooking. This is an easy one. If you've created a happy guest stay, how can you put something in front of them saying, hey, if you want to book the same week next year, we can offer you 10% if you book right now. And there's just a host of different strategies you can do to really drive repeat bookings. Obviously, then circumventing the OTA next time, and then you can get more money in your pocket. Well, this is one of our customers here at Operto. When we're looking at sort of boosting the bottom line, these are some of the stats that we've seen. I mean, really big numbers, right? 78% of upsells are sold pre-arrival. So again, you need a great guest app that has a natural flow of bringing guests in, checking them in, giving them their keys, and then putting them into that flow that makes sense. So that, if you can close a ton of business before they even arrive, then it's good. You can plan. $90 per charge upsell. I mean, it's a huge number. If you're taking $150 a night, or $200 a night, or whatever your ADR is, that's a significant amount of money. And a lot of the time it's very, very high margin. And again, it's just money in your pocket. And early check-in, late checkout, by far, if you really want to just dip your toe in the pool and not have to get too far down this road, just offering those up. Mid-stay cleans is also very, and then obviously pet cleaning fees as well, if you've got guests that are coming. Those are the sort of 2, 3, 4 that are the most common and easy money you can just take off the table. Yeah. So really, when we look at this technology wide, what are we trying to get done here as property managers? If you thoughtfully apply technology, guest applications, cleaning technologies, the things that sort of help you on the operational side of your business, these are the 4 boxes that are the most important, right? You want to amaze your guests. You want to make sure that you're delivering real hospitality, that you're generating more revenue, that you're automating operations that are just the painful things that get caught every day, right? Like there's just that painful slog of property management, the day-to-day things that you don't want to be doing, that you want to be out there building your business. You want to be like in your business. You can find technologies out there, and we're happy to talk to you about that if that's stuff that you want to introduce to your business. And then impress your owners, right? At the end of the day, you're providing extraordinary service that increases retention. Brooke was talking about churn. If you can bring those numbers down, that's very, very helpful in the long-term success of your business. And really, technology, when you look at things like this, and we're just talking about upsells today, but when you talk about sort of pre-stay, in-stay, post-stay, and guiding the guest through an amazing end-to-end experience, it's really about it's not whether you need technology. It's like, how do you implement it in a thoughtful way that makes sure that it ticks the box for your guests, but also on the backside, it's actually making life easier for you and your team to deliver hospitality. Brooke, am I doing the recap here, or are you?
Let's
Why don't you
see.
do it, buddy? Over to
All
you.
right. Let's recap. All right. So growing your inventory requires focus on special key steps. Get nerdy with that data, right? Data is so important, and knowing what you're going after and kind of reverse engineer it. Now, once you've increased your inventory, focus on how to increase your revenue through those ancillary services and strategic upsells. If you do both these sides, I guess from the inventory side and then on the guest side, you got a pretty remarkable business. So I think that ends it. So
That's
so
it.
Nick,
That's it. That's all.
what
Nikki,
is
over
our
to you.
count here?
All right, so the count was Brooke said inventory 5 times, and Steve said guest experience 7.
Yes.
And that's mainly because the start of the webinar, Steve dropped 2 down.
Okay, so what do
All
we
right,
got
let's do
here?
this. We'll start here, Steve, but the first one will be both of us. All right.
There's a
So
bottle of, what is
got
this?
little
Tommy
angels.
Bahama. Oh boy.
I got a little angels envy here. So we'll stop. I'll do one with you just to
Our
cheers.
marketing teams are going to stop allowing us to do inventory or webinars together, you know?
I suggested vinegar, but here we are.
I'd rather do this.
All right.
Cheers,
Cheers,
buddy.
buddy. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers to you too. So in the meantime, we are going to shift over to Q&A for everyone. Please pop your questions in the Q&A area. We also have a resources tab as well. Catherine Kelly is telling you that you're crazy. Things we already know, Kathleen, for sure. On
Even
that
crazier
side.
at 10:42 in the morning here.
At least I'm on the East Coast. It's only one. It's
Totally.
1:42. I'm
Yeah,
going to be
that's a
going to the
little more
bar after this.
socially
I'm just
appropriate.
priming the pump
Yeah.
here a little bit.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so first question that's come in. Someone said, thank you for putting this together. Brooke, do you think offering owner incentives like revenue guarantees is sustainable for long-term inventory growth?
I wouldn't look. Here's reality. Like the thing with revenue guarantees is like sometimes you're painting yourself into a corner by doing it, and we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I've seen some people get burned with it. If you're really, really confident in it, and you maybe have some outs in there, possibly, but I mean, it's a tough business. I mean, there's people that have lost their businesses because of the guarantees. You know, I wouldn't build it. That would not be the backbone for my business. Would be doing on a guarantees. I would say differentiate on other areas. I mean, if you do a guarantee, don't make up the difference. Maybe it's something where it discounts your commission, but I would not like have to make up that delta. I've heard of some horror stories for it, and there's other ways to differentiate.
Great, awesome. Someone just checking in. Yes, confirming that we are sending the recording out. So if anyone joined late, that will come to your inbox in the next 24 hours. Question from Vince here. Have you found any way to offer upsells at homes to help sell items to prevent someone from needing to go to the store, for example? Think about hotels offering candy and drinks that are charged after checkout for things that are eaten. Steve, maybe you can comment on some of our clients.
Yeah, I mean, specifically, no, not in our world yet. I'm struggling to remember the name. Is it Minoan that does
Yes.
in like where you can have those products inside the property, and then they can literally like scan a QR code and buy and take it home with them and pay for it. So yeah, it is possible. I don't know if there's other companies in our space specifically that are doing it, but I know Minoan is one. So if that's interesting to you, I think definitely look them up and take a peek. Minoan. And just to give again, a shout out to my other homie who's in this space. If you're looking to for buying beds and other things to sort of help you get into the group buying side of the things, you've got there's companies that are out there that are really pushing the boundaries there. You've got Host GPO, for instance, that a really large group buying company out there that you can get some good deals.
Great, awesome. Another question, this one's for you, Brooke. What's the most effective strategy you've seen for expanding inventory in saturated markets?
Yeah, I mean, it's really the fundamentals. I mean, there's no different in a saturated market. Honestly, it's, sticking to those core fundamentals. I mean, here's the irony is like the best thing you can do to get new homeowners, and I've seen this with a handful of our partners, is they build a really great freaking business. I mean, they are just operating like at a high level, and they get so many referrals where it becomes one of those things where just like your business itself, it's just kicking off referrals most of the time. I saw that with a company after I sold my company Vantage. I went down to work for a company called All Star down in Orlando. They had so many inbound. We probably turned down 10 leads for every person that we said yes to. We kind of shift the power dynamic a little bit where it was almost like you were applying to be in our rental program, but that's not easy to do. That takes time. But really, it's sticking to the fundamentals. I love realtors are obviously a great source, but most people go about realtors completely wrong way. And what I love about realtors too is it's residual business. They're going to send you, deal after deal after deal, as opposed to if you get one new homeowner, you're just going to find one. Maybe they refer you a couple here or then. But the thing with referral or with realtors is give before you get. Like, what information can you give them so that they want to give you properties? My friend Steve Schwab, founder of Casago, he's got a great thing. It's called Leads for Life. And what he does with realtors is he'll go to them and say, "Hey, look, if you send me a referral, first off, anytime that person ever comes back and they ever want to sell their property, obviously I'm going to refer them to you. But more importantly, think of that house as a lead machine for you. Every single the guest that goes through those doors is going to see your information in the property. Every single guest that books through that property is going to get a confirmation email, and at the bottom it's going to say, "P.S. If you're interested in buying a home or looking at homes while you're in the area, please call Jan at Keller Williams," or whatever happens to be. And then what happens is that property is a lead magnet for them that's generating. And that's all realtors want. They don't really care about a $500 referral fee so much. What they want is more deals. Because I've seen it like in Orlando. I mean, some of the commissions were 10, 20, $30,000. That's what they care about. So if you can help facilitate that and give them more deals, and you think about many of these properties have dozens of people, dozens of guests coming through every single one of them. And now you have this whole army of properties that are just generating leads for you. So that's a strategy that always works pretty well.
Awesome. Thank you, Brooke. So I know we're a little over time, but we got two more questions here that we want to squeeze in. One is from Brandon. He's a property manager in Aruba, so a little jealous just to kick it off.
Oh my gosh.
But Brandon is saying most of our property owners are from the US. How would I go about finding qualified email leads of property owners, usually from the USA? He feels it's a pretty small pool.
Yeah. So one thing we're very lucky with in the U.S. is Freedom of Information Act, where we can get this information. We can get information about who owns the homes. Unfortunately, as soon as you go outside of the U.S., it gets very, very challenging. That was one of the reasons I launched Comparent, was to make it easier, because I know it's much harder for people outside of the U.S. to get data. So therefore, it's much harder to market directly to them. So I think actually Comparent is a better use case for Europe and Canada and Caribbean, things like that. So unfortunately, I don't have a good answer for you. I'm sure there's some list out there you can find somewhere from a list broker of people, but unfortunately, it's just my understanding is Aruba, it's not public records as far as who owns the properties, even if the homeowners are in the U.S. Yeah, I'm struggling there. Sorry, Brandon, I can't help you on that one too much.
No worries. I actually did pop into the chat the link to Comparent as well for anyone if they want to take a look. And then I've got a final question here from Vince. This one's for you, Brooke, as well. What kind of lead gen magnets have you seen work for doing outreach via SEO or ads? Things like ebooks, ROI calculators, kind of where do you see the greatest success?
Yeah, so I would start with, I mean, one of the lowest hanging fruits is update your landing page. I mean, it blows my mind how bad many of these landing pages are. So you want to build a really effective landing page. We actually have a template. We built over 800, lead magnets, or I'm sorry, landing pages. And then what we actually do is we've built a ROI calculator that goes on those lead magnets. So if you go to any of our partners' websites, and I'm happy to share that, like some of those examples, like if you go to Cozy Vacation Rentals out of Fredericksburg, Texas, and you just go to their property management page, you can see kind of an example of our landing page. But we actually custom build a lead magnet ROI calculator where they can go in, they can enter a number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, location, things like that, and it'll give you a good rental estimate of what that property will do. But the beauty of this is not using AirDNA information. This is not using key data information. This is using the property manager's information. So the numbers are really accurate based on what the property manager inputs, them putting it in there. So it's going to get a much better response. And you can even gray it out where they have to, fill in a form to get that. Huge believer in that because again, 80 to 95% of traffic goes to a landing page, doesn't fill out any kind of form. So you want to convert that traffic as much as you can. If you're not on the Vintory platform, you're not using one of our ROI calculators, you can build it your own. There's a company called Calconic, which is an interactive calculator builder that you can build out similar things with. Or I've even heard a lot of people actually Claude. I mean, AI is amazing now. Claude, you can build out, interactive calculators where you didn't even know how to write out code and it'll build it for you automatically. But great, great idea to build out some kind of a lead magnet on your landing page to, convert that traffic.
Awesome. Great. All right. So I know we're a few minutes over time. We're going to kind of wrap this up. Wanted to say thank you to everyone who's stuck on and joined us today. Brooke, Steve, thank you as
You're
always.
doing one more here, buddy?
Do one more, buddy.
One for the road?
One for the road. Why not?
For the road.
And for anyone
Not
who's
for the
stuck
road, yeah.
around, I have also shared in the resources section, and I'm just popping in the chat. We actually are doing a big Black Friday contest. So enter to win for property managers. We've got smart tech. We've got $500 to Wimstay and rent mount. It can also be sending an influencer to a property of your choice, capture content, and that's over 170,000 viewers. So pretty compelling giveaway. So please, if you want to highlight opportunity to win it, enter to win, no skin off your back. And yeah, we're excited to have you join us for the next round. Brooke, Steve,
All right.
thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
The next round. Thank you.